Did you know you can still buy a money-making online business that works while you sleep for under $15,000? Even in this day and age of AI, it is 2025. Not only do they generate semi-passive income while you sleep, but you can also renovate these small websites into valuable digital assets. So it's a little bit like virtual real estate. So you can sell them out later for money if you want to. So, if you're looking to start a side hustle and you're short on time or you're working a full time job, you want to be listening to today's guest story because today's guest on the Digital Investor podcast is Ian. He's in the US and he has bought three websites, all for under $15,000, all while he's learning how he's never been online before, all while he's working 50-hour work weeks, plus raising a family of three plus building a house. So if you're short on time, you definitely want to hear Ian's story. And today, what we're going to learn through Ian's story is how he's done it, working those 50 hours, but where he's bought the sites and how he was able to get a bargain on one in particular, how he hunted those down, but also why these boring, almost obscure micro niche websites are still working. Even if they're invisible on Google. It's a common theme here at the eBusiness Institute, it seems, amongst our awesome students who are blitzing this. And also, of course, today we do want to look at how he's been able to get leverage on his time by using AI to renovate these websites. So we're going to share the actual details of the website so you can go and have a look at them for yourself and you'll see the renos that Ian has done. So Ian, thank you so much for coming on to the Digital Investor podcast today. It is great to have you.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be here and share my story.
Well, it's an honor to interview you, Ian, because it's a moment in time, isn't it? So you've been with us for what, a year or so. So just to put it into context, share with us where you're based, what state in America, and also what you do.
So I live in the United States, as Matt mentioned. I live in Pennsylvania, South Central Pennsylvania, near the suburbs of Philly, Washington, D.C., Baltimore. And my day-to-day job is a supervisor at a nuclear power plant. So I sit in the control room and keep the health and safety of the people nearby, keep the public safe and free. So it's kind of like an airline pilot, where the pilot's
Yep.
responsible for your safety when you get on the plane and you fly. At the nuclear power plant, I'm responsible for the safety of the public nearby and those living nearby.
Man, Ian, that sounds like a pretty full-on role. And thank you for sharing it because I want to put it in context for everyone before we start getting into the details of these sites. Because as you know, in our community, we have a lot of people like yourself in these sort of full-on roles working big hours. So what sort of hours are you working? I said 50 hours, but what does that look like each week?
So I have what we call rotating shift work. So I'll work 4 night shifts, then I'll work 3 day shifts with 2 or 3 days off, and then I'll go back to night shift with a day off, and around we go. Day shift, night shift, bouncing back and forth. Um, I have a 45-minute commute to work and a 45
Yep.
minute commute back to work. So all in a 14-hour day, while trying to catch up on sleep, bouncing around from days to nights.
Okay, so for you, discovering this online space, how did you find us, by the way?
So I was into putting a bunch of money aside into retirement and
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that was the way to do it. I
Yep.
stumbled upon the Rich Dad Poor Dad book in January of 2024
Awesome.
as a
Yep.
means to passive income, invest differently. After I exhausted his books, I got into Kiyosaki's podcast.
Yep.
And Matt and Liz, well, Matt was on the Kiyosaki podcast, and that's where I got hooked. I knew that I didn't have the cash to invest in real estate, so I decided to go the route
Cool.
of digital real
Yeah.
estate and make small investments there and gain some passive income. So that's how I stumbled upon Matt and Liz through Robert Kiyosaki.
Awesome. Cool. And this is really cool because for a lot of our listeners are in a similar boat. You just mentioned something, not sure about investing in real estate. And for you, as we've just, you know, painted the picture of you're pretty darn busy in life with three kids, building a house. So you've found buying these online businesses has worked for you as a busy person?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can let them sit at night. I'm making money while I'm at work.
That's
By me
perfect. Yeah.
not making any effort to do so, and I'm making money while I'm sleeping. So highly passive and a means to make additional income for your family and your future.
So, Ian, let's jump into it. These are
Yeah.
so for anyone listening to this, the reason I've recorded this today with Ian and I is to capture a moment in time. This is Ian's journey. He's still learning. These are the first three websites that he's bought, but I do want to share his story with you so that you can see how well this can work while you're working a long time, long hours, but how the journey can pan out, okay? And also we do want to look at where and how did Ian buy these sites and what he's doing to them with AI, because Ian's had to use AI to get some extra leverage on his time. So let's jump into it, Ian, because it is pretty exciting what you've done with these sites. Basically, uh, do we let everyone know how much money you're making now, or I think you're
We
pretty
can,
excited at this point, considering it's a learning journey. You've only been
yeah.
with us for a year. How much are you making altogether now?
I this month I just made $2,200 a month from actually
US.
two websites. And it's in
Awesome.
like we'll talk about, it's enough to cover my rent. So
Yeah.
it's a huge accomplishment and takes a huge burden off the family when you
Yeah.
can cover rent passively with two websites.
So that's while you're working. That's pretty cool. So 2200 US, it's covering your
Correct.
rent. And so this is
Yep.
like so you study this stuff at night. So what was the what so I said it in the intro, it was three websites, but you've actually sold one. So what was that first website that you started to learn on? Because you followed our system exactly that so if you're new to the podcast here at eBusiness Institute, we teach exactly this strategy. Ian has followed it to the letter, and we teach you to start with a small website. So what was your first website that you bought?
So after I finished the podcast with Matt and Liz, I signed up for the master class. Then I got into the digital investors program in May of
Yep.
24. And then in July of 24, I purchased my first website. It was in the niche of pontoon boats, which
Yep.
is a big thing here in the US. I purchased that website for $1,000 off of a gentleman from Colorado who had been born and raised around pontoon boats and
Right.
spent time with his family on it and had in the neighborhood of 250 articles written all about pontoon boats. So that's
So
where
it
it all
was
started in July of 24.
So that was, really, mate, well done, by the way. That's a really good buy in hindsight when you and I look back at that. Remember, we did feature that at
Yep.
uh, our annual summit that year as well, because even back then you were starting to use, or Liz and I suggested to, I think it was Liz suggested to you how to renovate it using AI, because that wasn't a
Yep.
topic you knew a lot about, was it?
I had been, I was around the water, but I never owned a pontoon boat. Never even rode
Yep.
on a pontoon boat. Yeah, I used AI to help me structure the articles that I was revising and compiling from what he had previously written.
So this is perfect. This is, I think this interview Ian's going to turn into a little masterclass in and of itself, how to work through our program, isn't it? So you tell us about your journey with that site. So you're brand new to the online space. You've never built a website before.
Right.
Uh, you're working your butt off long hours and everything. But what sort of things did you do on that site to learn? Like you've owned it for a year. What sort of things
Yep.
did you do to the website?
So the first big thing that I changed and started with was the homepage, the three core business ideas, and then getting into a good about us page, and getting them to look nice, getting them to look pretty, nice pictures, nice flow, good links. Once I had those set up, then I could get into the article renovation. It had 250 articles, but they were
No.
referencing each other all over the place. It was very circular. It wasn't very streamlined. That was where AI came in. I could tell them what articles I had, give me a roadmap of how to compile them, and then I would clean up all the links and get them compiled. 6 or 7 articles would turn into one. When it was all said and done, I had about 65 well-written articles once I was done revving the website.
So really, what you've done there, this is like with physical real estate. When you think about it, Ian, you've come in, you bought a rundown house in a great
Mhm.
niche, kind of like a bit of a micro niche, I guess. But like you said, in America, it's big, these pontoon boats. It's got the bare foundations there, which are pretty darn good. So you actually got that
Mhm.
at a bargain because it is pretty cool, like $1,000. That's not a bad. That's a good learner site because it actually did make okay money, didn't it? How much did it end up making for you?
All in all, in the year that I owned it, it made upwards of $650 across an entire year. So,
Okay.
what is that about 50 bucks, 50 bucks a
50
month?
bucks a month. Yeah.
Uh,
So if you're listening to this, I know it doesn't sound life changing, not yet. We're getting to the life changing bit, but it's making 50 bucks a month. So we talk in monthly income. But remember, this is why it's important. If you're a beginner, this is Ian's learning website. There's no risk with this, was there, Ian? $1,000 and your time.
Nope.
That was it.
Yep.
So there's no
Nope.
downside beyond $1,000. So remember, Ian's learning a major, like you listening to this as well. Ian wants to, have a side hustle business like Robert Kiyosaki taught that's leveraged in time, where you make money while you sleep. So he can go to work, earn a great income, or a high income. Okay, you still got to work long hours, unfortunately, but at least you've got an asset on the side starting. So was that exciting for you to see those first few dollars come into the account when while you sleep, even on a small learner site?
I went running to my wife. The first time somebody had purchased something on Amazon, it was like, oh
Yep.
my gosh, $2. We made $2. I didn't even have to do anything.
Woohoo.
And it
Yep.
was so minuscule then, but it was a huge accomplishment. It was kind
Yeah.
of introduced to this whole new world that like, oh wow, you can make things when people buy them while you're sleeping. It
Yeah.
was fascinating and just the beginning of the journey. So pretty
That's
cool.
cool. And so you work there at night in your study on this site. And so over the time, did that site go up in traffic? Was it successful or and like what happened with the site?
Yeah, so I had when I picked it up, it was pretty low. Maybe 10 or 15 people a day would come to that website.
Okay,
After
so
the year I had sold it, it was upwards of 50 or 60 people a
well
day.
done.
So quadrupled the number of visitors, and yeah, we can
Mate,
talk about selling it if you'd like.
yeah, well, that's what I want to get to, but I do want to congratulate you. Well done. Mission accomplished. That's your learner site, $1,000, no risk. You quadrupled it.
Yep,
And but you also learned how to use AI, which is a brand new skill for you, plus fixing up web. Now listen to you, you sound like a legend. So it's worth it. I reckon, Ian, it's worth every cent. But
yep.
obviously, as you just alluded to, there is a big side benefit here. I mentioned in the beginning, these digital assets are like virtual real estate. So tell us how valuable that site became. And remember, guys, this is a starter site. Okay, let's put it in context. But what happened with this website?
Yeah, so not only was it making me money and covering my expenses while I was running it, but then it went up in value. So I had sold it for $2,000 a year
Nice.
later after I purchased it for 1,000.
Yep.
So there was income to be
Perfect.
made. I sold it to a gentleman in Michigan in the United States who was an avid pontoon boater, I'd say.
Yep.
And kind of interesting. He was in the brick and mortar business and he's starting to get into digital assets. And somebody told him about Flippa and he
Oh.
purchased the website. So
So
kind of
did he
cool.
buy it pretty quickly? Like, did it
Yeah,
sell
so
quickly?
it sold within 4 days. I had it
Nice.
as an auction and I put a buy it now price on there for 2,000 and it was gone in 4 days. So
Awesome.
it was,
So where did you, so you just mentioned where you sold it. So is that where you bought as well on flipper.com?
yeah. So I bought it on Flippa and sold it on Flippa.
Awesome. All right. So there you go. If you're new to this, that's what we also teach in our courses here at eBusiness Institute. When you're a beginner, it's easy to start on a place like flipper.com because there's lots of these starter sites. So starter sites are great to learn on. They're not going to make you super rich or anything, but would you agree, Ian? It's giving you the skills to go to the next two sites, which we definitely need to be talking about. So
Absolutely. Let's get into
been a
it.
good learning one, that one. So in this last year, you bought. So let's now talk about the two other sites because these are of really interesting. They're like I said in the beginning, they're under $15,000. Talk us through what these next two sites were and what the deal was.
So in March of 2025, so I'd almost been in the program for a year. I decided I wanted to purchase another asset and I wanted something that I enjoyed. Not that I
Okay.
didn't enjoy pontoon boats, but something that I enjoyed. And I found a site for sale in the I'll say the mechanics niche.
Yep.
It talks about motorcycles, it talks about golf carts, it talks about lawnmowers and chainsaws and how to resolve any mechanical issues. It was not up for auction on Flippa. It was actually a classified that nobody had won in the auction. It didn't meet his reserve price, and it was listed for 20,000. That singular site was listed for 20,000.
Okay. Cool.
I approached the gentleman, asked him a bunch of questions, had meetings with him, showed a lot of interest. And through talking to him, I found out he had a second site on his hands that he was looking to sell as well. He had another site that was in the motorcycle niche, kind of similar to the season to the first site, but not too much overlap. And he was going to offer that in the deal as well if I was interested in it. So at the time, I only had $15,000 to offer the gentleman, and I offered him $15,000 for both sites when he was
Cool.
listing one singular site for 20. And lo and behold, he took my offer. So
Nice
um,
one.
we can get into the details of each
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Well, I just want to point out for everyone listening here, particularly anyone in our existing students, but for all of you, these were sites that no one else bid on. You found it. And a big tip there when you're buying on places like Flippa, go for the classified ones, the ones where there's not a lot of action, because on the auctions run on emotion, just like with real estate. And
Yep.
you can, they will, they typically do get lots of eyeballs, but the classified ones pretty much hidden. Did he mention, did anyone else bid on it or contact him?
No, nobody whatsoever. I was the only one that showed interest in
Wow.
it.
So
He was,
here's people out there saying, I can't find good deals. And on a platform like Flippa, which has tens of thousands of buyers every day, not a single person even
yeah,
contacted this gentleman to see, to ask for details about this website. But you did, Ian, because that fit the mold. And let's talk about one of the reasons why I think why you and I probably are thinking no one wanted to look at. I love buying sites like this, by the way. They're my favorite site. But let's just say it's a very unattractive website. It doesn't, you wouldn't look at that and go, man, that thing makes good money. On autopilot, by the way, it's totally passive, isn't it? So are you happy to share the URL of the main site? I reckon you should.
yes, yeah. The main site, which I ended up purchasing for 14,000, is called theseasonedwrench.com.
Yep.com.
And again, that's geared towards mechanics. It's geared towards resolving motorcycle issues, lawnmower issues, golf cart issues. But yeah, you go to that website and you type in the URL, and it is
It's
not a flashy site. It is as
it is.
basic, boiled down, simplified as it gets.
Yep.
Nothing against
And
the
this,
previous guy, but
oh, what was that? Sorry.
nothing against the previous guy and what
No.
he had done. But yeah, it's not the
It
most
works
beautiful.
fine though. It works really well. So if you go to that site now, you'll see what Ian and I are talking about. This is one of those obscure niches. Now, I will say this for you more advanced people, I have actually seen similar websites. So this is just a basic site about mechanical stuff, like Ian said, and it lists lots of PDFs and manuals of how to fix engines and spare parts and stuff. I was telling Ian when he bought this, mate, I've seen other websites in, let's just say, very similar kind of niche that are doing seven figures or six figures. So we're talking one of them I valued at around $1 million. And so they
Wow.
exist out there. You would be absolutely shocked. This happens in every niche, by the way. There's always these weird and wonderful, pretty ugly basic sites that make way more money, but Ian, you took the time to look at it because you saw it on a listing and you'd done all the training in the hard yard, you'd done all the reps with that previous site, and you saw something in there. So share with us, because I want to point out as we're recording this, so what month are we in now, Ian? We're in
Beginning of
September,
September,
September
September 4th.
2025.
Yep.
You haven't touched that site yet at all, have you? It's just totally passive. So you literally bought it. It's been just sat there passively. It is a really good site, by the way. But there's a lot of obviously anyone that's looking at can see there's a lot of opportunity to work on the site. Share with us how much that thing makes passively for you.
It makes $1,700 a month.
Woohoo!
Um, and it will
Nice.
pay itself off in well, I guess you can do the math, less than 10 months. eight,
Less than
nine
10
months, you'll
months.
pay
So
it.
you bought that on less than a one times multiple. It's in the year 2025. Everyone's worried about AI and AI hitting content sites. Guys, you just
Yep.
heard it here. There is a totally passive site sitting there. We know it works because, Ian, how long have you owned it for now?
Since
Uh,
March of 25. So I'm on six or seven
6 months.
months.
And it's just ticking along steady. How many visitors does it get? Just like, let's shock people even more. How many visits does this tiny little site get?
20 to 23,000 visitors a month.
Month. So
Yep.
anyone shocked by that? It feels like we're talking to a live audience here, doesn't it? That's cool. It is really cool. And I love sites like that. Those boring sites, in inverted commas, are often they actually can convert really well because they are boring. What do people do when they're on a boring site? They click on the ads. And is that how you mainly get paid on that website? Just passive ads?
Yeah, it's about it's skewed towards ads a little bit, but it's almost 50-50 ads and affiliate links through
Nice.
Amazon. So
So
yeah.
what affiliate products? So for if you're a total beginner, you'll see on that site there's ads. When people click on those, Ian gets paid on autopilot. He does nothing. He just wakes up in the morning, the money's in his account, or once a month, courtesy of Google. But what are the affiliate ads? What do they promote?
So it could be anywhere from different gear. It could be parts for the motorcycle. It could be handlebars,
Yep.
intercoms, radios where you can communicate with fellow riders. It could be helmets, riding gear, all that kind of stuff.
So,
And
and is that typically stuff that's sold on Amazon and you get an affiliate link, or is it direct? Like what? How does the affiliate? Yeah, what's the main affiliate program?
yeah, it's the affiliate link program through Amazon. So somebody
Amazon.
clicks that link, they purchase a $400 set of handlebars,
Yep.
and I get a 4% cut on that, and I make 16 bucks.
Yep.
So,
While you're at work or with your three kids or while you're building
yeah,
it while you're designing it, going through building your house. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yep,
So I
it's
guess
super cool.
that one's been pretty exciting for you and your wife to see because it has, it's better than money in a bank type thing or buying real estate.
Yeah, it does not take the amount of money up front that real estate would require. It does not require a loan. You purchase it in cash, and there's hardly any real estate, at least that I know of, that pays itself in 10 months. It
Yeah.
just doesn't happen. So
Let's point out for everyone in to here that guys that Ian and I are likening it to real estate because it is a challenge at the moment. We know for a lot of people in the community here in Australia as well and in the US, it's a big proposition to jump into real estate at the moment. So this is very much a cash flow strategy. Hopefully you're seeing that. It's not, Ian and I and obviously excited that it's very passive. We're not necessarily focusing on the passive bit. I know if you're listening to this, you are that, and you are too, Ian. Like seriously, while you're at work, but I do want to point out this is very much a cash flow strategy, and it is virtual real estate that Ian will loop back to and renovate and hopefully earn even more money, or he can just sell it for that for either what he paid or a bit more because it is such a good asset because it just ticks along like because that's a long aged website too, isn't it? There's a lot of great content on there. It's actually a pretty good site when you get into it.
thousands of articles,
Yeah,
thousands.
thousands. And
Yeah.
mate, you got it for 14 grand. Like that's just unreal. No, that's one time multiple. That's like in the good old days, Ian. When we
Yeah.
talk about the good old days of the internet, when it was, really easy to find these sorts of deals. Well, you heard
Yep.
it here. Ian just literally found this year on Flippa. Not a single other person even contacted the seller. So
Yep.
let's get into the final part of this interview that I want to share with everyone because the site that you've put all your skills together. So you've gotten good at doing website due diligence, ferreting out the bargains, and renovating. You learn a lot on that pontoon site. So
Mhm.
the other site that came with this deal, let's talk
Yep.
about that because that is a favorite of mine because I'm also an ex-motorbike rider, as is Liz as well, and I love all things to do with motorbikes. But share with us some of the details of that one.
Yeah, so when I contacted the gentleman about the Seasoned Wrench website, he said, "Hey, I have another website that I'm be looking to sell as well." It wasn't listed on Flippa at the time, and it had a lot of parallels in the motorcycle niche. And I said, I don't want to lose out on an opportunity to, not have something in the motorcycle niche. So I took him up on the offer and said, "Hey, I'll take both of them for 15." So I ended up getting a second website. It's got a pretty good domain name with it too. So usamotorcycling.com is the domain, and I purchased that for $1,000 back in March of 25.
Wow.
So,
So I think, Ian, like I said to you at the time, even the domain name alone has $1,000 worth of value in it. usamotorcycling.com. What are the
yep.
chances? Like you pick that up, plus it had heaps of good, so it was legit because it had good articles. And if you're a bit more advanced, or even if you're a beginner, you can do this. You can look up usamotorcycling.com on what's called the Wayback Machine, which is archive.org, and you can see what it looks like when Ian bought it. You can actually get a timestamp. So archive.com literally archives websites. It's one of the things we do in website due diligence, by the way, as well. But if you want to go and look that up, it's probably worth looking at because you'll see it was a pretty basic looking website. It's exactly the kind that we teach you by here as a beginner. It was a mishmash of articles, and that was the problem. So when I did a coaching call with Ian when he was on Digital Investors, and we talked through what to do with that website. And if you look at it now, I think you'll agree it looks fantastic. And this is the other reason why I'm celebrating this. I'm really proud of what Ian's done because he's done a
Yep.
fantastic renovation. Those of you in our community will look at it and recognize what we teach is all over that website. But Ian, mate, you did do a really good job. And what was some of the things that you and I discussed on that coaching call that were so important that I wanted to see you get across on the website?
I think the most important part that we talked about was the unique angle and the avatar. Who were we trying to gear this website to?
Yep.
Um, and that's the guy in the United States riding a Harley. He's very patriotic. He obviously loves his country. His brothers, they usually ride around in, 4 or 5 or even 10 motorcycles at a time, and they're looking for that camaraderie and that maintenance that they can do on their motorcycle, improvements that they can make to their motorcycle, upgrades, and they want to learn that information from other folks, not necessarily from, an AI generated response on the computer. So trying to develop that unique community aspect and that unique angle, I think, was the most important thing that we developed in that coaching
So
call.
when Ian was talking to me on the coaching call, he said, and I looked over the website as well, and you could see there was how many articles were on there, Ian? About
There's actually about 850
800, yeah.
articles. Yep.
And the thing for me, I'm a motorcyclist, not a Harley rider, sports bike rider, but uh, I could see there was really good content on there. So it was legit, but it was just, if you look back on the Wayback Machine, you'll see it was just totally disorganized and you couldn't narrow down as a motorcyclist to the information that we wanted. And so what I suggested to Ian, and Ian and I just kind of brainstormed it. There were three core areas on the website, which you can see. So we fixed up the navigation and we got people focused on either the travel aspect and the mechanical aspect and the spare part. And sorry, is that right? The travel, because that was really confusing when I first looked at it. I thought it was all about travel. And Ian said, no, it doesn't make its money like that. It makes it through the ads and the affiliate stuff. So we've
Yep.
kind of gone to the spare parts bit.
Yeah, so
And
equipment reviews, replacement parts, maintenance, and then the traveling aspect. What roads can you ride
yep,
throughout the United States? So those are the
yep,
three core
the
business
three
focus
core.
areas.
So the first step in what we do is basically what you learn on the pontoon site is do that makeover, organize it so it's heaps easier to get around. And
Yep.
as Ian mentioned too, one of the key things that we teach here at eBusiness Institute is we want when we buy these small, simple content sites these days to succeed in this AI world, we definitely have to have a unique angle and also ideally we need to be building in a community at some point. So I want to reiterate, guys, this is a site that's a work in progress, but I think you'll agree the feel that Ian's put into this site, because I told him on that call, tap into that American patriotism idea at the moment. And I love what you've done, Ian, which is you've gone away and done that perfectly, in my opinion. From the subtleness, well, it was not too subtle when you look at it, but the red, white, and blue, the American flag, and I think one of the here's the really exciting thing for anyone listening to this in this day and age. You might be like me and Ian, you've said this to me as well. You're kind of the same. Um, English isn't our strong point. Writing isn't necessarily our strong point. So who did you use to help you do all the writing
I
and
used
capture that American patriotism feeling, by the way?
my friend Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Um, I used AI to generate the logo.
Yep.
Um, I told them, hey, I want to emphasize patriotism. I want a motorcycle, an American flag, the bald eagle, the symbol of the United States, and
Done.
it generated a logo for me. And then I also used it for like different slogans. I tell them about the website, tell them what the domain name is. Hey, give me 10 uh, slogans to pick from, and I want them to be more rugged, or hey, I want them to be more patriotic, and it'll tailor it to you. It's pretty powerful,
Yeah.
useful tool.
And Ian, you're really impressive. I loved what you've done. When I first read that new makeover website, it was chalk and cheese what Ian had achieved there, and it literally, all those sentences I was saying to you on our next call afterwards. How did you get all these? The sentences are great. They're exactly that American patriotism look that I was looking for. And you
Yeah.
said, yeah, Chat GPT. And
Yep.
will just, I think a really good example, if you're listening to this right now, go to the About page. Is it on the About page, Ian? I know there's a pop-up just to give you an idea of what AI can do. And remember, we're only in August, September 2025. If you go to the About page on usamotorcycling.com, this is turning into a bit of a masterclass, I know. And apologies to those of you listening to this on your commute, but it's worth visiting the About page of this site and just scroll to the bottom. That honor the ride, share your story. That's Ian starting to build the community. It's a new thing. But what I want to point out, that is all. Ian, tell us, how did you create that?
Yeah, I used ChatGPT again. Hey, come up with here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's the story I'm trying to tell. Again, give me, images geared towards patriotism and eagles and motorcycles. And
And the
yeah,
saluting soldier in the background. So is that image literally came out of ChatGPT, or what program did you use for that?
yep. I grabbed it off ChatGPT, and I don't know if it took a collage or something from the internet and put pieces together. Um, yeah, it did pretty good. So
Wow. Yeah. And the text, really well done. I love the text. Honor the ride, share your story. And I read out underneath, every rider contributes to the legacy of American motorcycle heroes. Share your latest ride, wrench work, or new bike. And that's the key core purpose areas of this website. Your story could be featured as part of the USA Motorcycling Brotherhood. Mate, that is all the customer avatar stuff that you and I talked about on that coaching call. Well done.
yep, that's what we're trying to do, create that community around that
Yeah.
avatar.
And I love the words fuel the brotherhood. Like it just, so now this site, Ian, mission
Yep.
accomplished. This is chalk and cheese, isn't it? It's got a definite feel. Are you really pleased with how this feels now compared? Think back to what it used to look like. And okay, you had to do some learnings to get to this point, but mate, how do you feel about this now when you look at that homepage?
It's one of those things where like you'd be wanting to tell your family and friends like, "Hey, look what I created," or "Hey, look what
Yep.
I own," and kind of show it off. I will also say that the improved navigation has also led to more sessions by the users, right? I start to see more people clicking more because now they can navigate better and they can see what is available to them. So if somebody's not coming and disappearing, they might stay there for two or three articles. Another powerful update to the website. So,
And how exciting is that? So it's already starting to work because when did you make we should have shared with everyone, shouldn't we? When did you make this live?
when did I made it right before the summit, I
Right
believe, the
before the summit.
beginning of August.
Yeah,
I think
beginning of
that's right.
August. Because remember, you and I were so for our listeners, I did another coaching call with Ian after he showed me he built it on a separate domain, like a dummy domain, to show me what he had done with all the AI and how he'd rebuilt the homepage. And then I said to Ian, that is brilliant, as I'm sure you'll all agree. And I said, just make it live just before our annual summit, which is in mid-August every year. So that is really cool, Ian. Well done. And so you got to share with us. So, okay, this is a learner site. Hopefully you're getting as excited as I am here. But think of the skills that Ian, if we look back over this last year for Ian, and this can be you too, if you're looking to start, remember, if you're looking to start a side hustle while you're still working long hours or you're very short of time, have a look at Ian's journey here. And obviously, if you've got more hours, then you can go quicker. But this is just one snapshot of what one student, Ian, legend, has done. So if we look back over this last year, to recap, Ian's learnt on the pontoon site. He's bought a full-on passive website that he hasn't even started the reno yet. It's ticking along making 1,700. He's learned all the AI skills. He's learned how to renovate these with AI so he can do it while he's still working. So this little site here, this is still a learner site. It's one of those classic $1,000 learner sites. What's it making now in terms of dollars per month?
It makes a little over 200, about $225 a month. And yeah, it's paid for itself already. So
Wow, that is super cool. And what's the traffic up to?
it's at 5,000 visitors a month. So comes out to be somewhere around 175, 200 people a day, roughly.
Okay, so let's do on a site like that, just giving everybody a little quick insight. And apologies to total beginners, but basically sites like that are valued on a 30 times multiple or a 3 times yearly. So 225 times 30 equals $6,750. Ian, you could sell that for. So you've 6x'd your money, not bad, in under 12 months on a learner site. And as everyone knows, learner sites are typically, they don't go massive because you're learning on them. But mate, well done on that side. You've 6x'd your money already in terms of asset value, but cash flow wise, yeah, 225. And now that you've done the reno, we've only just made that live. That's probably going to go up more. So you're already seeing people clicking around the site a lot better due to that navigation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so that'll feed back to Google over time and it will slowly start to increase as well, or should do. There's no guarantees. So, mate,
Yep.
well, really well done, because really these are pretty, and if you're listening, hopefully you can see this is just the start of Ian's journey, as I mentioned. But more importantly, I do want to point out something. This is the AI age, guys, where everyone's freaking out about content sites not working. These sites are they're pretty obscure. They're pretty much invisible on Google. They don't even need to be ranking on, they certainly don't rank on page number one, yet they're covering Ian's family's rent while he's still working, and it is just the beginning. So, Ian, I want to say a massive thank you for sharing everything there and helping me and our community listen to a little bit of a coaching course / masterclass there on how to renovate and buy these small, simple websites that are covering your rent. That is
No,
awesome.
no problem, Matt. I'm glad to be on here, glad to share the story and be the proof to the people that if you're short on time, you can still make
Yeah.
these passive income sites work. It's truly a powerful tool.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm looking forward to having you back on the podcast and seeing what happens over this year, because Ian has joined our Champions program. So I'll get to do some more coaching calls with you, Ian. So if you haven't heard a similar student story to Ian's, that is Ashleen's, who's bought 4 websites and is now almost hitting $100,000 a year cash flow, like $100,000 a year income from those 4 websites. Make sure you check out that podcast. Also, if you haven't done our free masterclass, if you're totally new to our community, that's where Ian started. It's a free masterclass on how we buy and where we buy them, these online assets, these small, simple websites that everyone else misses. Make sure you check out our free masterclass. So the links are in the show notes, and we'll see you on the next Digital Investors podcast. Awesome.